Lakas na pagseserbisyo publiko. DWIC. Rumoronda na ang asenso. Umaasenso na ang pagronda. Mula sa Rain Podcast Center, Manila, rumoronda na sa buong bansa ang asenso sa pamamagitan ng DWPR Dagupan, DZRL Batak, Ilocos Norte, DZBS Baguio, DZTC Tarlac, DZLT Lucena, DZYM Mindoro, DWRN Naga, DWRL Legazpi, DZKI Iriga, DYRL Bacolod, DYKB Bacolod, DYRB Cebu, DYKC Cebu, DYRM Dumaguete, DXOW Davao, DXKT Davao, DXCO Cagayan de Oro, DXKO Cagayan de Oro, DXGS General Santos, DX General Santos, DXJM Butuan, DXOC Ozami, DXKS Surigao, DXKD Dipolo, DXKP Pagadian, DXXX Zamboanga City. Rumoronda din ang pag-asenso sa buong mundo sa pamamagitan ng www.rain.com.ph rain.com.ph. Ito ang pinagsanib na puwersa ng RPN Radio Ronda at Radio Corp Radio Asenso Nationwide. Nagpapa-asenso sa lahat ng Kapinoy sa buong bansa at sa lahat ng Kapinoy sa mang panig ng mundo. Ito ang Rain Ronda Asenso Internetwork.
RPN Radio Philippines Network. Radyo Ronda DX General Santos. Member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
Mas tulong lakas, Radyo Ronda Nationwide.
Oras may gala sa RPN Double DX Jensen alas 9:05 sa buntag. Magsugod na ang sumbong ug reaksyon.
Magmabinandayon, ayaw pagduwa-duha. Kung ang imong nakita sayo, ipaibaw o isumbong sa programang Sumbong o Reaksyon. Sumbong o Reaksyon. Usa ka programang buhatag og katinawan sa mga pangutana katubagan sa inyong mga pagduwa-duwa. Sumbong o Reaksyon. Kauban si Ronel Digorio o Chris Legazpi. Dinhi sa RPN Radio Philippines Network Jensen. Sumbong o Reaksyon. Gikan Lunes hangtod Biyernes. Matag alas 9 sa buntag hangtod alas 11 sa buntag. Sumbong o Reaksyon sa RPN Jensen. Ug karon
Paresugod sila dyan.
ang inyong mga anggol. Sumbong o Reaksyon.
May galamay buntag daw sab og welcome sa laing edisyon sa ato pagpanaguban sa programa Sumbong ug Reaksyon diri sa RPN Double DX Jensen adlaw nga Martes petsa 3 sa bulan sa Nobyembre tuig 2020. May buntag sa tanan niya sa may gala inyong higalas kangina Ronel Digorio og karon da Chris Legazpi sa ato programa Sumbong ug Reaksyon. Pero karong buntag may gala special coverage ta ilabi na sa regular session sa sangguniang panglungsod diri sa General Santos City. Gipangunahan sa ito Vice Mayor, Vice Mayor Attorney Ton Atsaron, mga konsihales sa syudad. Ag atong mapadungog karon tiyod ha ug unsay natigayon, mga agenda, mga isgutanan atol sa ipahigayon nga regular session sa ato sangguniang panglungsod. Mayong buntag sa tanan mga mga suki na to nga gapaminaw sa tuag programa Sumbong Reaksyon diri sa RPN Double DX Jensen. Pipila ka mga karon dagkong activity ang Sarangani Province doon na po sila ipahigayon nga regular session pod sa sangguniang panlalawigan diha sa probinsya sa Sarangani diri sa Jensen sangguniang panglungsod. So tangin ninyo og unsay dogang update, dogang katikaran ilabi na mahigala sa ato ang programa Sumbong ug Reaksyon diri sa RPN Double DX Jensen. Mga higalag maigsoon sa pipila ka magkatikaran sa ato palibot ilabi na diri sa ato ang dakbayan og sa lain nga mga lugar mahigala sa Sok Sargent. Atangin ninyo mahigala sa mga update sa COVID uban pa mga katikaran bagyo. Ang bagyo na itabo mahigala dito napita sa pipila ka mga lugar sa Philippine Area of Responsibility. Bagyong Rolly nga may damyos sa mga nagkariyaga mga propiedad, mga agricultural area mahigala. May kalas sa pipila ka ba kinabuhi tungod sa moog super typhoon nga Rolly. Gaming agi or ningigo sa pipila ka madapit dito sa Bicol region o guban pag mga lugar sa Luzon area. May na lang diri sa ato may gala sa Jansan kay wa tay kuan rin na sinati nga kusog nga hangin or bagyo. Salamat na diri may gala na mga ulan-ulan hinungaw sa bagyo, paghangin, pero dili kayo susama dito dapita may gala nga moabot og halos hapit 300 km per hour ang gikusgon sa bagyo. Grabing kusugang bagyo ha. Murag gikaingon gani nga mas kusog pas bagyong Yolanda. Ang mga lahar dito sa Mount Mayon may gala nadala sa gikusgon sa tubig sa hangin ning patighog dito sa mga residential area. Halos ang balay maabot na sa atops balay ang paghupa na bitaw sa tubig katong kuan ba ning hupa ng baha ning hupa ng bagyo. Ang nabili nilang may gala mga lapok apil ang lahar katong gikan dito sa may kuan kini Mount Mayon mo nang lugarahan na probinsya sa Albay, kanang Albay province no, under Bicol region nga ginatawag nato Bicolandia. So mo nay nahitabo karon dito napita mahigala sa moong mga lugar. Kita diri pasalamat lang ta sa General Santos City kay dili ingana ka grabe ang kuano mga pagbaha, pag-ulan. Pero amping kita permente laban na katong mga tao nagpuyo diya sa mga low-lying areas katong nasa buntod-buntod, skills buntod niya basig delikado mag-landslide. Mahumukan ng yuta, mag-soil erosion, mga na delikado na. Niya kadto pong nagpuyo diya sa dapin sa mga sapa basig maabot sa tubig. So mo na siyang kinahanglan gyud nga mainampingon ta. Magamping ta. Ilabi na nining panahon nga medyo gaulan-ulan sa atog palibot. Pero karong adlaw, karong buntag ato nakita may gala nga di man kayo dagom no sa atong kawanangan. Ika-55 di ay nga regular session sa atong sangguniang panglungsod. Karong buntaga karong tiyo dati pasulod ha kay hapit na po sila magsugod dito. Nana si Vice Mayor Attorney Ton Atsaron sa presiding table niya. Og ang ato mga konsehal gaabot-abot na po mahigala. So anytime or pila ka minuto, pila ka segundo gikan magsugod na mahigala ang regular session sa sangguniang panglungsod diri sa General Santos City. So, kato mga kuan ha, nag-apply og Aklat Edukar scholarship grant diya sa local government. Gipang-post na sa Facebook sa LGU Facebook ang Edukar kato nakapasar og maka-avail sa scholarship gikan sa atong local government. Pondo na mahigala sa LGU no, pinagi sa SEF ginatawag nga SEF or Special Education Fund. O niya gipunduhan ang scholarship para sa mga kabataan nato katong Estudiantes College. Labo na kadto mga anak sa mga ginikanan nga mga pobre in town dili maka-afford og bayad og tuition pa eskwela sa ilang mga anak, ilabi na sa kolehiyo. So mo na ni siya diyan. Okay na ni, pwede ato na ni ipasulod murag kuan naman. Asa may tinoda ni kining duha. Kini may bag-o. Okay, kini ang live kini naka Amerikana og itom si Attorney Ton Atsaron. So, ato lang ipasulod, ato palungon tong bed. Palihog ko. Okay. Okay, palong lang. Kaya. Okay. Ato na ipasulod may galang. Saan ko ang panglungsod sa ilahang ipaygay nga regular session. Karong butaga. Okay. City Councilor Nunez, City Councilor Casabuena, bakante ang kinsa man ni parada ng bakante. Duha ka nagsunod ng bakante itulo. Tugod gakal wala pa. Kinsa pa wala pa. Nana si Attorney Lagari. Stanyo wala pa. Roll call ni. Blando, Kongson, ana. Dinopol, ana pod may gala. Gagawad Rick Atendido, ana pod. Gagawad Lucio, Kawayan, IPMR, naana. Wala si Dimdam o si Kapitan Lorely Pacquiao, wala pa. Lain makaisig kuan audio dyan nga naman ni dyan. Ano ni suga di palong-palong. Palong lagi. Di ko siga. Lain mag-audio. Saya mo okay sa mo dia. Ano, paminaw ko ang audio. Kini. Okay dia. Dari nganong lain mo. Sebelum.
Second.
Ada tos bigas? Bisa. Okay dia. Okay na. Naiga siapa ba?
Second. Second.
Basta karon na naiga sapo. Naiga sapo tanalo.
Second.
The interest of the Crown to the body. There's an urgency by the other body for the attendance. The interest of the Crown to the body. There's an urgency by the
Naiga sapo.
for the attendance. Inviting the general to the body. There's an urgency by the honorable Casabeno is now inviting the general to the body. There's an urgency by the honorable Casabeno is now inviting the general to the body. There's an urgency by the honorable Casabeno is now inviting the general to the body. Before that, there's one show by the honorable Casabeno is now inviting the general to the body. Before that, there's one show by the honorable. Before that, there's one show.
Ay, odyo nyo diya, sangko niya ang panglungsod, noon sa mana. Pag-sure mo diya, Ha? Sa mo na, odyo, sa marabag na ina, mga nabtan diya, Sige, pag-comment po dito, pag-comment ako para mga kanina. Lagyan. Ayaw ilang audio. Masabtan ang audio sa sangguniang panglungsod. Agenda. Ang ilahang order of business karong adlaw sa ilang regular session may gala no ilahang agenda si kagawad Kasabuena mo kuan mo hatag og privilege hour mo avail sa privilege hour question and answer okay na barang na okay na daw daw sige ibalik
Number 2, amending Miss Lia Tolimaw.
The Honorable
okay na.
is again recognized.
Okay na.
Mr. President, I move for the urgency of item number 2.
It has been moved and seconded that item number 2
Grounded ito.
be declared urgent. Hearing no objection, said item is declared urgent.
With this, Mr. Chair, I move for the approval of the main motion subject to sign.
It has been moved.
Okay na, salamat,
and
salamat.
Seconded that is item number
Okay na,
2 is
Ojo.
moved. Hearing no objection, the said resolution is now approved.
Number 3, commending Police Colonel Gilberto Tuzon.
The Honorable Nunez is recognized. It has been moved and seconded that this item be declared urgent. Hearing no objection, said proposed resolution is declared urgent. It has been moved and seconded that this item number 3 be approved. Hearing no objection, said item.
Before, Mr. Chair,
Before the approval, there is a discussion. Yes, the Honorable Tendido.
well, Mr. Chair, I have nothing against the resolution, but I just would like to ask if, because it was stated here that all of the members, but we haven't received any of this.
You have not been furnished.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Maybe you were forgotten.
Maybe, Mr. Chair. Well, actually, Mr. Chair, I also asked my seatmate, wala po daw.
So maybe you change your phone or what?
Anyway, Mr. Chair, kung if it has,
He will be here actually. We will direct the question to him right on his face when he comes here for the question and answer
nakalimtan
hour.
lang yun siguro may Mr. Chair.
Okay, that should not be intentional because
Yes, Mr. Chair, it's okay.
everyone here is part of the group.
Yeah.
So we will ask the CD later on.
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
so restating the motion which is duly seconded, the motion to approve proposed resolution listed in item number 3 of the urgent matter is now approved.
Number 4, declaring supplemental budget number 1 of Barangay Katanggawan.
The Honorable Gakal, who is now present, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On omnibus motion, I move for the urgency of items 4 to 11.
On omnibus motion,
Second.
been moved that items number 4 up to and including number 11
Yes. Number 11.
be declared urgent. Hearing no objection, said items are declared urgent.
On omnibus motion, I move for the approval of items 4 to 11.
But before,
Second.
And
On omnibus motion again, it has been moved and seconded that these items be approved. Hearing no
But before-
objection. But before the approval, there is a manifestation from the Honorable Gary.
yes, thank you, Mr. President. Well, per se, I have no objection with these items, but I just would want to raise this issue, Mr. President, which is an issue that is currently being tackled by the Committee on Blue Ribbon with respect to the administrative complaint against Barangay Kapitan of Barangay Fatima. And well, I just like to remind the Barangay Treasurer of Barangay Fatima, that the City Accountant's Office is awaiting for the pertinent documents regarding the celebration of their festival in Barangay Fatima, which is the
Carlton.
Carlton Festival.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr.
I can-
President.
I can-
That was in 2018, particularly because that is very much relevant to the issue before the Committee on Blue Ribbon. And as far as I know, Mr. President, the barangay concerned should be able to transmit all the financial records, the books of accounts, and the budget and everything that is relevant to the celebration of the Carlton Festival in 2018 within a period of, if I'm not mistaken, 30 days.
There is no liquidation yet.
There is no liquidation yet, and the barangay officer of the City Accountant's Office revealed during the hearing that they still do not have that pertinent this document, and it's been more than 2 years already, when in fact it should have been transmitted within 30 days, Mr.
Okay.
President. So let me just remind the barangay concerned that these things are important, and audit is also
Okay.
Yes,
Please note the manifestation of the Honorable God is noted on the record. I can quickly remember Carlton because that used to be the Kalingawan Niton, but because of the pandemic, it's been changed to Calvario Niton. So that's Carlton. So anyway, restating the motion of the proponent for items number 1 up to and including 11 on omnibus motion. Hearing no objection, said proposed resolutions are now approved.
So, we now proceed with letter D, items for second reading. Number 1, an ordinance regulating the operation of tattoo and body piercing shops in the city.
The Honorable Yumang or Honorable Atendido?
Mr. President,
Honorable Lagari instead is recognized.
I take the cudgel for Councilor Lumang. I move for the approval subject to amendments, item number 1.
It has been
Second.
moved and seconded that this item be approved on second reading, but before its approval, there is a proposed amendment by the co-author, Honorable Lagari.
All the amendments introduced during the committee hearing be incorporated in item number 1, Mr. President.
Upon motion, which is duly seconded, the proposed amendment in the committee hearing, hearing no objection, the proposed amendment is carried. Another amendment, Honorable Gary?
That's all, Mr. President.
Okay, before. The Honorable Gakal is recognized.
Is the amendment already approved?
Yes, the amendment, first amendment proposed was already approved.
My question is about section 4. It says here that the client shall secure a medical certificate with supporting documents of hepatitis B vaccination from the person conducting the procedure. Why? The way I understand it, the tattoo artist should have a hepatitis B vaccination. Yun ang pakaintindi ko sa section.
The Honorable Gary, what is your take on that?
Well, honestly, Mr. President, this is the first time I read about this ordinance, and I was not present during the committee hearing. But the way I understand Section 4, the certificate, that proves that the one who underwent the hepatitis B vaccination is the tattoo artist, not the client. Because I say that because the pronoun he, she, before he, she receives the services, well, I think there's something wrong, Mr. President, because the client, which is the subject, Mr. President, I get confused because the client, which is the subject, is in the plural form, and but the he, she is in the singular form. So I thought the he, she, the one being referred to in the he, she is the client, but
Hindi.
What section is that, Honorable Gary?
Section 4.
Section 4.
Apparently, because it says responsibility of clients. Clients shall secure a medical certificate with supporting documents of hepatitis B vaccination from the person conducting the procedure. So it will be the client who will require the artist, the tattoo artist, to show that he has a hepatitis B vaccination. So my question is, why?
Honorable Gary, you have any answer for that?
I think that calls for a medical expertise, Mr. President. Honestly, I do not know the answer to that question, but there has to be a medical explanation to that, and sadly, I do not know who can provide the information, Mr. President. But still on Section 4, because I think the cause of my confusion, Mr. President, is the plural form of the client. When it should have read as only the in singular form, the client, Mr. President, so that it will not be confusing in that phrase before he, she receives the services, which is in singular form. So later on, I will ask for move for an amendment, Mr. President.
Your Honor, please.
The Honorable Nunez, recognize.
So Your Honor, please. The problem here is whether the vaccination should be for the client or the one who's practicing who's doing the tattoo artist rather. Why should the tattoo artist be vaccinated? Na ang karayom lang naman, it's only the needle who will do the tattoo. And hepatitis is not transmitted through air. And I do believe here that what is dapat you are safeguarding the health of both the clients rather. That there should be the needles that are being used should be sterilized so that there is an assurance that there is no contagious disease which will be transferred during the process. And second, the client himself also should present a clearance that he has no contagious disease because the needle that is being used can be maybe used for another person, and the person can be contaminated by the disease. Kasi dapat we have to clarify the section 4. The client shall present medical certificate from a government physician before to the tattoo artist before he can be admitted as ano yan? Ano tawag sa mga ginatattoo, no? And also the tattoo artist should it's not even the tattoo artist, but the clinic, ano tawag yan, the shop itself should be certified that the materials that are being used there are sterilized and at their own risk. It should be sterilized because hepatitis and AIDS maybe can be transmitted from needles. So having tattoo really is very risky because I'm not sure that these tattoo shops, tawag dyan, tattoo clinics or tattoo shops are actually inspected inspected by our health officers of the city, by the city health. So the precaution there is both for the client and for the shop, so that the shop should be certified also by the city health officer.
Yes, the Honorable Casabello.
Everyone, in addition to the observation given by the Honorable Nunez, I would also suggest that they should be inspected at least once in every 6 months whether the tattoo shop is well sterilized and it's clean, because remember, they have to extract, may blood ba? Is there an extraction of blood?
No.
Councilor Lickley?
Honorable Tan, you have a tattoo?
No, Mr.
Yeah,
Chair.
somewhere else.
Yes, I would just like to ask the sponsor, Mr. Chair, what is the requirement of having a tattoo shop?
What is a requirement for adding a tattoo shop? The Honorable Gary, would you care to answer the query of the Honorable Tan?
Well, I'll try, Mr. President, but this is the first time I read about this ordinance. But I think the answer to the question of Councilor Tan is Section 6 and Section 7. The tattoo artist must have his own work permit to be secured from the barangay, from the police, from the... He also must have a medical certificate with proof of hepatitis B vaccination. And also Section 7, Mr. President, the business permit, as well as Section 8, sanitation permit. No, all these things, yes. You just cannot engage in the business of putting tattoo, just like that. So there are regulatory measures, Mr. President. But, Mr. President, since the author is not here and I was not able to attend the committee hearing, I think we just have to lay this on the table in the meantime, Mr. President.
Honorable Nunez, you have something to say?
Yep.
Okay.
I move that...
Can we first move to withdraw consideration of this resolution or ordinance on second reading, and then before we go to the motion of laying this on the table?
That is be laid on the table.
Second.
Upon motion of the sponsor, which is duly seconded.
Second.
The consideration of this proposed ordinance is laid on the table.
Now proceed with number 2, an ordinance adopting the new organizational structure of the city admin.
The Honorable Lagari is recognized.
This time, Mr. President, I think I will be able to competently answer the queries of my colleagues here. I move for the approval on second reading of item number 2.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that this item listed in number 2 be adopted on second reading, but before its approval, there is a proposed amendment. Go ahead, Honorable Lagari.
I move that all the amendments introduced during the committee hearing be adopted for this item, Mr. President.
Upon motion which is duly seconded, the proposed amendments during the committee hearing, hearing objection, the said proposed amendment is approved. Another one?
Subject to style, Mr. President.
Okay. So,
Second.
please make the motion for the main, for the approval of the main motion on second reading.
For the main motion, I move for its approval, subject to style.
It has been moved.
Second.
Before that, there is a raising of hand by the Honorable Nunez.
How many city administrators are there in the new reorganization?
One.
There's only one.
There's just a change in the nomenclature from City Government Assistant Department Head 2 to Assistant City Administrator Operations with salary grade 24.
So how many? Only one.
Just
Assistant
one.
Government Department Head, Assistant City Administrator for Operations. Then you have the Assistant Department Head to the City Administrator. Bakit administrators? Ilan ang administrator?
That's just a typo error.
Typo
Mr.
error,
President.
yes.
Okay, so earlier, what was changed here is that formerly there were two assistant government department heads. Before, there were two. May we ask the sponsor?
Well, looking at the organizational structure, Mr. President, there was only one assistant department head. So we did not change anything except that we changed its title from City Government Assistant Department Head 2, which we actually abolished, but in lieu of that, we created another position, which is City Government Assistant Department Head 2, and its title is Assistant City Administrator Operations. So there's still one, Mr. President. It has never been two. Maybe the previous ordinance to this, with respect to the organizational structure of the city, City Administrator's Office, maybe way back, there were two assistant department heads, but immediately previous to this new reorganization, there was really just one assistant city administrator, Mr. President.
Your Honor, please.
Nunez is recognized.
I do understand that this is the first revision of the organizational structure of the city administrator's office. What I do understand was that there were two. One assistant city administrator for operations, and the other one was an assistant city administrator for administration. Namely, si Judy Dumagan and then si Glenn Gonzalez. So there were two. And I believe that that would have been more appropriate because, you know, if you really work as a city administrator, you are everywhere in the city. So somebody should stay in the office to do the administrative work, administrative function, and another one should be around everywhere in the city to look at the operation of what's going on in the city. Because actually, the city administrator is the alter ego supposedly of the city mayor. So to see to it that all projects are being done on time, that the city is clean, that there are no complaints from the population, that are not really being met by the city. So I am wondering, now you have one city administrator for operations, but it seems that his assignment is the public market, which is not even well managed and supervised. I do not know.
Mr. President.
Yes, Honorable Agarit.
Let me just explain further. With our new organizational structure, under the city government department head of the city administrator's office, there is still only one assistant department head. So that's clear, Mr. President. But we created a new division, and this is what is, I think, substantial change to the department, Mr. President. I know what Councilor Nunez is very much concerned about with the gargantuan task of the city administrator's office, considering that the many economic enterprises are under him or her. So we created another position, which is actually Economist 4 with salary grade 22 under the Economic Enterprise Division. And it is under this new position, Economist 4, that our three economic enterprises, namely Terminal Operation Section, Market Operation Section, as well as the Slaughterhouse Operation Section, are all under that Economist 4, Mr. President. So now, what is going to change significantly would be that under the Assistant Department Head 2 or Assistant City Administrator Operations, there will be another new level, which is the Economic Enterprise Division, that will have a direct supervision over all our economic enterprises. And so that will make it a little easier for the city administrator, Mr. President, unlike now that lahat yan under sa assistant department head, which I think is quite, the responsibility is quite humongous and unfair to the assistant department head, Mr. President.
Mr. President, by the way, sir. The Honorable Dinobod is... thank you, Mr. Maybe Ma'am Leah Tolima will be here this morning.
She's actually here, recognizing the presence of the HRD head.
Maybe there is a new guideline because, in fact, in the office of the city engineer, there were 2 assistant city engineers, but now there is only 1. So we do not know, maybe this is the new guidelines of the civil service. So may we ask Ma'am Leah Tolima regarding this?
Anyway, she would be presented in the privilege and in the question and answer hour later. We will be asking her. Anyway, Honorable Nunez, please proceed.
May we know what are the different divisions under the city administrator's office?
Honorable Lagari.
There are 2, Mr. President. First is the Administrative Services Division, and the second is the Economic Enterprise Division.
Okay.
So 2.
Economic Enterprise Division, the other one is?
Administrative Services Division.
Admin and Economic.
The housekeeping part of
How
it.
about the other functions as an alter ego of the mayor, which is not covered by Economic Enterprise? Who will do it?
Well, the city mayor's office is another separate department, Mr. President. And the city administrator's office is a separate department from the city mayor's office.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, Honorable Nunez.
Your Honor, I agree. But remember, actually the real function of the city administrator is to administer everything in the city, no? Na supposedly alter ego siya ng mayor. So, you have economic enterprise on one side, the other side is administration, ang division chief. So, other than the economic enterprise, who will take charge directly? The city administrator.
Honorable Lagari.
Do you not quite understand? Take charge of what? Which function?
The management of the city.
Which one? The economic enterprises or other?
No, I don't know. But
Halimbawa,
mali ako, but I feel that the work of the city administrator really is everywhere. No? Sa lahat ng functions ng mayor, dapat alam niya, in the absence of the mayor, it's the city administrator who takes over. So, John, you only have 2 divisions. One is economic enterprise, as if the work of the city administrator is always or only for economic enterprise. The other one is administration.
Well,
Yes, Honorable Lagari.
well, unless there is that specific function that is asked of me, Mr. President, then I can answer because right now, if the question is that other than the supervision over the economic enterprises of the city, there are other functions that the city administrator should attend to, like for example, peace and order. Then is that the question? I'm just trying to concretize the question, Mr. President, because I cannot visualize any other functions other than the economic enterprise. Are we referring to the peace and order, Madam?
The Honorable Dunias?
No, I don't want to, ang city administrator, by the name itself, the nomenclature itself, no, he administers the city. So, everything that the mayor's function can be delegated to him except for mga legal functions nga which only the executive can do. Like, mga different programs of the mayor, the infrastructure, lahat ng problema ng mayor, pwedeng pasukan ng city administrator. That is, if he's really a working city administrator. Yun, so, so, hindi lang economic enterprise. Dapat he's everywhere. So, I want mo, maybe, tama rin kanina, maybe yan ang rule ngayon, di natin alam, na maybe they abolish already the other, maybe civil services that allow it, na magkaroon ng another assistant city administrator or every department, dalawa, operation and administration. But I would feel that it was more practical and realistic to have somebody for operation and somebody for administration. If you want the person for the operations to be an economist, why don't you put it in the qualifications that we need a person for applying for assistant city administrator as an economist?
Yes, Mr. President. Okay.
Lagari?
I think I have a better grasp now of the question, Mr. President. Well, the office of the city administrator is actually mandated under the RA 7160, the local government code. It's a law mandated office, Mr. President. So all the functions are there. And perhaps the question is that, well, other than the economic enterprise, all the other functions of the city administrator, Mr. President, and I call this ad hoc functions, other than the economic enterprises, well, the city administrator should be able to step in, especially when the city mayor is busy with something else, and there are other concerns, Mr. President, being attended to by the city mayor. So I think there's a catch-all phrase in the RA 7160 that the city administrator should be able to troubleshoot whatever problems that arise, Mr. President. But there's just this catch-all phrase, Mr. President.
Honorable Dunias?
Well, what I was only trying to help to make the office more efficient and competent. But if that's what they feel is proper, well, I have no objection.
Let me just add one thing, Mr.
Honorable
President.
Lagari, yes.
In fact, what we see for the city, the direction of the city should be that all these economic enterprises will have to be, at some point, at least the operations, but not the ownership, should be privatized, Mr. President. And so I think, and during the committee hearing, we enjoined the SEMCIDU under Department Head Leonard Flores that they should initiate the ball rolling for the PPP of these economic enterprises because, like for example, this market operations, our central public market, we have been incurring losses. We're on the negative side, Mr. President, for the last 5 years, and I cannot understand why, because that's where all the economic transactions happen in our city public market. So why is the city subsidizing it? Maybe because the government, because of by its nature, we really are not designed to operate an economic enterprise. We should leave it in the hands of a private sector. So at least the operation side of it should be under PPP, Mr. President. So is the terminal operation section. our Bulaong terminal. Why is it not making money? Why are we subsidizing it for the last 10 years? When before COVID, day in and day out, many vans and buses are going out of our city and coming in. So why are we still subsidizing it when it should be making money for the city by the billions, Mr. President? So it's the slaughterhouse. We are slaughtering 60 heads of pigs per hour, and another 30 heads of goats per hour, and another 50 heads of cows per hour. But why is the city subsidizing this? Well, it all boils down to the inefficiency of government operations. But if we start PPP, I think that should solve the problem. And that means for the city administrator's office, there's nothing left to do. But kung sa Bisaya pa, Mr. President, dawat limpyo na lang tayo, no, ang city. And I think that's a good thing. So later on, at some point, the city administrator should focus on more important tasks than operating these economic enterprises, Mr. President.
Because the economic enterprise is already designated to another assistant administrator.
Because the central public market is perhaps being operated by a cooperative already, Mr. President, who is just paying rents to the city. The Bulaong terminal is also being operated by the cooperative, who is also paying rents to the city. So dawat limpyo lang ang city. So is the slaughterhouse. I think that should be the direction of the city. And so as to lessen the responsibility of the city administrator, and I'm not talking about I'm talking about all the future city administrators, Mr. President. I think they should focus on more important things than the economic enterprises.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
The Honorable Gakal, you are recognized.
Yes. I noticed that we have two divisions, the admin and the economic division. My question is, why don't we have a division head for both divisions? Is there no need? Who will oversee the different sections? Because if there is no division head, then they would go directly to the city administrator.
The principal author is now present. The Honorable Limang.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Under the Administrative Services Division, we have the, what do you call that? Supervising Administrative Officer with salary grade 22. The Supervising Admin Officer will be the head of the division.
Where?
Second, Admin Service Division.
Wala.
Admin Service Division.
Wala dito sa...
That one. Below the Admin Division is the Supervising Administrative Officer with salary grade 22.
So, what is this document I'm holding? Peke ito, peke.
May I have it?
Because it doesn't show. Huh? No. Huh? Saan? Wala. It's here, section 2 composition. So whatever is inside the law, yun ang laman. Huh? Wala. Wala lagi. O nawala. I don't know.
You were not provided a copy, so you will not be able to...
I have a copy, but then I have a different copy, I think. Maybe all the members have different copies. I don't know.
Mr. Chair,
The Honorable Limang.
there is an amendment during the deliberation in the draft. And one of the amendment, Mr. Chair, is the insertion of the Supervising Admin Officer 2, which is now reflective in the organizational structure.
Which is being shown on the screen.
I have here, yes, Mr. Chair. Now, on the side, ano pa yung question? May I ask the other question? What division is that, Honorable John?
Economic and
Economic
admin.
and admin. We
Admin.
have two divisions.
So we have, under the admin, I already answered that. Under the Economic Enterprise Division, we have the creation of Economist number 4 with salary grade 22. That person will act as a division head of that particular division, Mr. Chair. So that is also an insertion during the deliberation and the committee hearing. We have inserted under Economic Enterprise Division, Economist 4 with salary grade 22. That is part of the amendment during the deliberation.
But Honorable Yubang, there was a question earlier by the Honorable Gakal. Why are we having two divisions when the Honorable Gakal was saying, is it prudent to just combine the two under one division? That is the question of the Honorable Gakal.
Mr. Chair, as you can see, the present organizational structure, there is a what we call infusions of those divisions where our workers could not respond to the needs of the people, and the organizational structure at present on the screen is a reflective of the local government code of the Philippines, and I also agree with Honorable Lagari that indeed the local government unit is gearing toward the PPPs of the economic enterprise. So the very purpose is for the city administrator and its office to focus purely on matters of administering City of General Santos or helping the city mayor to resolve problems for every department, Mr. Chair.
So creation of the two divisions will promote efficiency?
Yes, efficiency. And I'm praying, Mr. Chair, but that is the very purpose of the reorganizational structure, that efficiency and effectivity of the functions should be responsive to the needs of the people.
The Honorable Gakal, are you...
Yes, considering that the author is already here, I'd like to reiterate the question of the Honorable Nunez. Why is it that we only have one assistant city administrator? It used to be that we have a city ad for operations and city